really excited to have him. Bret Larson is a Duluth native, played at Denfeld then. That's off my dock. He went to UMD, captain there. Pretty impressive to play 134 games and average half a point through that career. Went on to play some pro, over 550 games collectively. ECHL, Germany to Denmark, all over the place. Really gained a lot of life experience. Started coaching in 1999 and has done pro and college and USHL throughout all of that. I should mention as well, a pretty smart fellow. He was an academic team member as a player 3 times. Went on to be an assistant. I think probably pretty well known assistant at UMD. And I think a lot of us that appreciate a lot of what Scott does with that team and how they play. I think that, I think we all probably had the same thought about when Bret left. How would that transfer to St. Cloud? And certainly he has done a wonderful job there. Just a number of things from the academics to the success on the ice, and to continue to elevate that program. So really excited to have him. Now he doesn't know this, but a roommate of mine in Ricky St. is now one of his neighborhood buddies, Jeff Hansen. So I asked Jeff for an embarrassing story, and he said, I don't know, he's just a solid dude. I don't have anything for you. He likes to drink beer, so we know he's one of us, huh? But thanks for being here, Bret. Come on up.
Thanks for having me. How is this with this mic? Is that work? We good with that? Okay. Yeah, thanks for all that. Obviously, I've been just really lucky to be in this game my whole life, growing up in Duluth, playing at Merritt Park, and from there to Denfeld to UMD, and a very, very unimpressive pro career. It's in real low levels of hockey, where I was able to get a small paycheck, but I loved playing the game and kept going. And obviously being able to go over to Europe and play over there was a great life experience as well. And it's kind of funny because I was making so little money in minor pro that I had to go back and work the UMD hockey camps in the summer. And when I was at home, and that's where I got to know Scott Sandelin. And I was out of hockey for 1 year, bought a house in Woodbury. I thought I was going to be selling pharmaceuticals against this job at Abbott Laboratories. I thought, this is great. I'm going to be selling pharmaceuticals like all my other hockey buddies. And my product was Similac infant formula. I was talking to nurses about breastfeeding and things for years. I couldn't wait to get out of that. Scott called me and he said, hey Lars, I need somebody to work with the D, and I'd like an alum, and you're the only guy I know. So that's how I got my first job in college hockey. I got very lucky to get that job. First got into UMD, was there for 3 years with him, went to Sioux City as a head coach in the USHL, and had a great experience down there. It was a great learning experience. And from there, went to Ohio State for a couple years with Steve Rawlick, back to UMD for 3, and then to St. Cloud, which has just been a great opportunity. I love it. They did a great job there building that program prior to me getting there. I was set up as one of the luckiest guys in the world to inherit a program like that with great people, great kids, a great culture, and now it's my job to keep that thing going and get it over the hump there. So I'm really proud to be there. It's been a great spot, and really enjoying it. So I know we're getting towards the end of this thing. Just a couple stories about, I just thought it was hilarious that I was asked to do a PK presentation, because this winter, when Dave Quinn called and invited me to be on the staff of the Olympics team, he called and said, Larson, I want you on the staff, and I want you to run the PK. I said, absolutely, Quinner, I would love the PK. I'm all in. I hadn't done PK in like 13 years. My whole career as an assistant, I've been on the power play. We had the #1 power play in the country at St. Cloud last year, but this was a nosedive into the PK, and how most of the staffs, I think, at our level do it. Our 2 assistants run the penalty kill, and to be honest, they're so good, I don't even go into those meetings. They're running them, and I'm not in there. So I had a crash course in PK, had a lot of work to do to prepare for the Olympics. I thought the best part about the Olympic experience and some of the biggest games, where I was extremely nervous because it was my only job, really. Hasty was running the D, I was on the bench looking for tendencies on the other team, and running the PK, so I had to be ready for the next 2 forwards, who's tired, who's not, who's doing well at penny stops, how the D are playing, how we're going to roll those players out on the penalty kill. Well, a couple of biggest games, we never took a penalty, so that was a good way to work on the PK. I felt pretty good about that. So, but in saying that, I've learned a ton over the last year on it now. I pay more attention to our meetings with our assistants as they run it, and I've really come to learn that the biggest thing that we focus on, I think, is the number one most important thing, as you guys all know this, is being aggressive enough not to let the other team get in the setup. We all know that any power play, for the most part, is good. If you just spot a puck in practice to 5 guys in the zone, give them full possession, let them work it around, they're going to make some plays, they're going to score some goals. So our philosophy has been face-offs first, exit plan, aggressive on the loss, a clear and up-ice pressure on a win, intense up-ice pressure not to allow the other team to get into their breakout, and then a big focus on retrievals. We call them short retrievals for sprayed puck in the zone, long retrievals when we force a dump on the neutral zone breakout or on their breakout coming into our zone. So focusing on the face-off, the clear, the pressure if we lose it, up-ice pressure once we clear it down, and then a really aggressive mentality, try not to let them get into the setup has been, I think, a key to our success. We had one of the top 10 penalty kill in the country last year, and I think that aggressive nature, and the thing we've learned is it's a lot easier to instill that early and then try to pull back a little bit than get so worried about systems and get kids thinking too much and then try to push them later. So everything we do early is time type setups where we will spot a puck for a breakout for the mock power play. We'll have our 4 killers in the middle. We're trying to get to 40 seconds before they're allowed to set up. So they'll break out, break in, we're trying to force the dump, we're trying to get into our pressure, into our retrieval plan, and the goal is to get to 40 seconds before they can get into a setup. Now, if the power play gets in and gets set up in 32, we blow the whistle, that's 32 seconds, we challenge the next 4 penalty killers out there to get it higher than that. So we usually start with that type of system or game where those kids are challenging themselves against the other penalty killers to try to get the best time to not allow the setup. And then what we do is we move it to a face-off in zone and we time their clear. So we call it 7 seconds of hell off a face-off. We want to make sure we're going all out, not let them in their setup. We want to see how quickly we can get it clear out of the zone, and we'll create a competition between the penalty killers in each group to see who can get that puck clear the quickest. And we always start that way to instill an aggressive mentality, not overthinking things early on the penalty kill. And so far for us, it's been successful. But what we always start with, in addition to that, is our face-offs. Our line of scrimmage mentality is critical. We call it getting in and getting under. Know the plan, execute the plan. And when I get into these clips, what you'll see here is I've got a mix of NHL and college. I've got us and I've got some pros. So what I usually like to do is show us looking pretty similar to an NHL team, get a little more buy-in in our guys that way. Obviously, in their minds, if they do it in the NHL, then everybody does it. It's the right thing. So obviously, when we're trying to teach, we try to include that. But we start with a loss. So on a loss for us, a big thing is we send center out. So any loss, our center's going to get out and cut this. All right. We will talk a little bit later about identifying in your pre-scout if this guy is a one-time threat or not, and it may change your lineup if that's something that they really look for. A thing that you'll see in our video as we go, and this is just us, it's how we feel about things and we like it. We try to have guys in their forehands in these 2 spots. We like knees bent, stick on the ice with your first plan, getting in and getting under, we call it. These races to get underneath this guy's stick here and win that race to the area around the centers. Same here, we like this guy to be a righty if possible, to get underneath this stick and to win this race. We find that most of the face-offs end up lying right around the centers somewhere, and in that case we call it secondary help. So our secondary help is critical for us of getting in, getting under, having the guys in their forehands there where they're strong in those puck battles. This guy would be our retrieval guy, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But first off the loss, as you can see here, Pittsburgh centered out immediately, and what you can see as this goes, you can see everybody already in motion. All right, the center's job, if they can, is to cut this off and make it go down the wall. You can see 8 already leaking. We're already looking. This guy's going to come for bumper support. As the puck goes to the half wall, it's all in one motion to gain these pucks and clear them. Now, if the center can't cut it, we also want to pressure this guy over here if they do get a D to D or straight back. And in this case now, instead of down the wall pressure, It's over, our center's a little late, can't get the cut here, they move it. This guy tends to be alone often, all right? So we are gonna send our weak side winger out in high pressure. He has to come back immediately, try to take the seam. Your D are reading this to be in that middle T area, and now this D can get ready to flex out in anything low. So we will pressure this guy as he's alone. The biggest thing for us is making a great play. Try to make these guys try to make a great play, force it down the wall if we can. This guy's even a little bit late for us, but we want to have that movement and the rotation where even if it goes to the weak side, we're jumping, we're pressuring, we're not allowing them to have time. So those are kind of our two staples, all right? Center out, try to cut it, 3-point pressure on the strong side. Center out, if he misses the cut, we're immediate pressure on the D-to-D pass, getting near a 3-point pressure on the weak side as well. Now this is the key for us as we look at this clip right here. This is when you know your penalty kill's on, you're into the game, you're ready to go. Stick on the ice, number one. On the hash, stick on the ice. These guys are clearly ready. All three of them down, ready to go. Little face-off tip that we really like and has helped our centers. Try to get your head over the dot. If you can own the dot with your head, you own the face-off area quite a bit. Working on your centers, getting their head over their dot and owning that space as much as they can. But as you watch this clip go here, watch here and here. We call this in and under and winning these races. We've owned that line of scrimmage. We've knocked 14 back. We've got inside position on him. Our center owned that dot area with head over the dot. Now in this case, the way we're lined up, we were looking for a weak side wheel mentality. We've got a right shot D here who's going to wheel the net and get it out in his forehand. This would be a call from the bench on what our plan is on the exit. But this plan, this weak side wheel plan, does not work if we don't get into their backfield. If we don't own that line of scrimmage, if we're not in and under, all right, this guy's going to be able to forecheck him as he comes around the net. So these two, the guys on the hash marks are, we think, the most critical guys in the penalty kill. Center's only job is not to lose it clean. He's either going to try to win it clean or create a 50-50 puck. If he does that, he's done his job. Now we get in and under, we're able to wheel, we're up the ice, and now we want to get immediately into up ice pressure. We are sending our center immediately into up ice pressure. We've cleared that, we don't want to let them get into the breakout. So let's plan off the face off. The other play off this similar play now. Now if we were going to do a weak side wheel, we'd have a left shot D here so he can wheel the net, get in on his forehand. In this case, they call it strong side out. Another one where all that matters really is this in and under, this in and under. You can already see their movement. Center's going to, we get into this area now that we don't necessarily own the backfield here. We don't win the line of scrimmage, but we still get a good solid bump, which allows our D to get it on his forehand. And you can see the first dot right here for our forward is get up the ice, pressure. No strides off, immediately let's go and stop their breakout. At least disrupt them to create some confusion. Again, going back to preparing for the Olympics and trying to get our guys buy-in, was really lucky to get some help from Derek Lalonde, who's now the head coach of the Red Wings. He ran the penalty kill in Tampa Bay, so I'd use some Tampa Bay clips to show what we're trying to do. This would be our weak side wing release. So now instead of 3 across and 1 D in behind, we're running a 4 across play, looking to drop this winger low. There's a couple details that I think can really help you with this that I'll go through in a second. Tampa does a good job of getting these two guys in their back with either a double bump or a single bump pass. This guy's allowed to wrap it out. That's dropping your winger low. Here's us. So I try to compare it to us now. Again, line of scrimmage, stick on the ice, on a forehand. Line of scrimmage, stick on the ice on his forehand. We're ready to go here and drop for any wing release. We do a nice job of coming in first, bumping back, and allowing this. But again, watch these forwards. This is where your penalty kill can get really good. Instead of standing and watching, he's immediately up the ice. We're looking to either create some offense off our kill or disrupt their breakout. And if you've got some speed, these are great spots to put these players in. If you can get them up the ice immediately, you can get up and maybe create some offense or disrupt the breakout, like I said. Same setup here, but when teams start reading you, okay, Omaha here has pre-scouted us. They're sending their winger immediately. The nice thing, guys, about having a left shot D here if possible, not only to get in and under, but it's also for this play here, which is great. If they start reading this and want to take away your wing low, it It's an easy bump back to your strong side knee onto his forehand, which is an easy clear under that case. So now you can start playing with them a little bit. You know what they're trying to do. Now I see Omaha doing this. We'll make sure we're running that bump back. Now they don't know what to do because we got a couple different plays, not the same thing. So basically those are our main face-off wins. Would be our inside D wheel to the forehand, strong side out by the defenseman, or you drop the low winger with either the clear immediately or the bump back. So what that leads up to next for us is, if we've done our job in the face-off, we've got in and under, we understand our plan, we've got the puck down the ice, now let's get it up into the up ice pressure. And how that looks is, I got a few clips of how it looks for us when we get into it. Here, win the draw, a little bit more of a muddle, but we get one out. But you can see these guys here now, it's immediate. We want to get up, we call it meet it or beat it. If we can, we want to deny this defenseman getting the back of the net. That's our number one race in the rink. If we can get there and have him turned up in the corner, we've done our job and try to deny that back of the net. Now we're into one in, one out pressure. F2 would have been trailing. We're going to have him immediately pressure the puck with F1 coming back through the middle to continue pressure on this puck. Now F1 is in again. We're out. Force a tough play. Now they're going back. What frustrates a power play more than this? We all know as coaches, your power play can give you momentum, you know, one way or the other. You can give the other team momentum too. If you're breaking the puck out the whole time, getting frustrated, it can hurt your team. What we call teams, and our verbiage in that situation is don't let them off the hook. Don't back off into the middle. Once we've got pressure, sustain pressure, keep attacking, one in, one out. Don't let them off the hook. You got them on the hook, keep them on the hook. Keep them there. Don't let them off. Sometimes kids will have a tendency to get in and then get out and then want to back off. Stay on the pressure. Don't let them off the hook. Now this is just a clip again of Tampa Bay in their one in, one out pressure. Again, you'll see it one in. He's got them on the hook. One in, one out. They're on the hook. There's two guys aren't stopping their feet moving. They're not backing away to the middle. They've created a lot of pressure, killing about 20 seconds on this right now. Maybe more. Keep them on the hook. Keep them on the hook. Here comes two. It's relentless. All right. Again, a clip of us now doing the same thing. We're not able to cut the net off here, but we force a goalie play. We're one in, one out. Keep them on the hook. One in, one out. They can't get into their setup. They're frustrated now. They can't break out. Now they start to beat it, and what we talk about is if they do beat it, we wedge it. Our F2 will hold the middle, D will be between the dots, we'll wedge things and push them to the outside. Here they beat the wedge with one pass, we get our stick on it. Now we're kind of in this wedge look. Pressure the puck again, don't let them off the hook. Don't let them off the hook, puck's cleared down, we've killed half their power play. So if I leave anything with you that we've really learned, whether it's on these up ice pressures, once you got them on the hook, don't let them off it. And you'll see early as you practice this, kids kind of want to go and then they want to back off. But if you can keep your feet moving and keep pressuring the puck, you can make it really frustrating on their penalty kill. Does that make sense? Any questions as I go through that? I really try to simplify this as much as I can from a standpoint of, I don't want to overdo it, but I'm not even going to get into the in zone stuff. And I can go back through any of these clips when we get to the end if you want me to, because that would just be too much. I really want to focus on those face-off. If they lose it, how you pressure, what you do when you win it, your up ice pressure. And now, this was kind of I think a compliment to our staff. And again, this wasn't me, this is our assistant coaches, even working with some of these NHL guys in the Olympics. They were surprised at how much we work on our retrieval plan. It's something that we do weekly, and I think it gives us a huge advantage to be able to retrieve pucks when they're sprayed to a corner or when they're forced to dump it. And I'll just give you a few looks at the retrieval plan and some of the thoughts behind it. This would be a short retrieval plan. Puck goes to the net, now it's sprayed. Our first thought here is we want somebody to meet the puck, somebody to get above the puck, and somebody to get below the puck. You can see them starting to move. He's trying to cut the top. He's trying to get here. He's a little late. We want him going, and we want him protecting the bumper area. All right? So that would be a bad retrieval plan for us from a certain standpoint of just a little too late on this reaction here. But now the key is knowing where your outs are. We're always in this situation where we're kind of this look of three around the puck and one guy trying to find a soft area to get this retrieval and be able to clear it. It's so hard to clear pucks when it's in those battles. And sometimes what happens is guys just try to force it. They end up clubbing it up the wall. Now it's on their tape. Now you're in your kill again. So our biggest thing is understand our plan, and I'll show you a few more of these. As I go through this, I think this is a little bit better one, where you can see full sprint on the puck, full sprint above the puck, full sprint to get below the puck. All right, these guys should all be acting together, all moving right now to seal the top, seal the bottom, have pressure on the puck, and get a guy in the middle for not only retrieval support, but also to cover their bumper. Here we do a good job of getting on it. We force it low, but the same theories still apply. We're on it. Here, we're cutting the top. This guy's looking for support. How can we get the puck to this guy and get the clear? Another example of this, I guess the one thing in zone, depending on what you're running, because it doesn't matter what system that you're running, but what do you notice about all 4 white sticks right now?
Anyways.
Stick position, right? So for us, this is a main key of our in-zone teach is your stick position. And again, it doesn't matter what your philosophy is. If you're a top-down kill, if you're a three-point pressure kill, whatever it might be, sticks on the ice, sticks in the lanes, critical. And it's one of the things we start with early, because I think no matter what you're running, like I said, it can be a huge help for you. But here you can see we're a little bit of a top-down kill. We're pushing stick. You know, we don't want to come any farther than stick on the dot. Net front D always has to have a stick in front of them. We have our sweep here with our stick. We have inside T coverage here with the middle stick. And now we're pushing down, force them into a shot. We'll give up that shot, all right? But these are the keys right now. This is where I think and what I've seen is the best penalty kills have. It's immediate. These 3 guys are cut, on it, seal it, look for support. And having that plan to kick it to the middle guy, who very often isn't covered, it can let you get off the rink and hopefully create some offense. Now your line rush principles are the same. Is Leon gone? He's gone, right? That was that all-important 8th goal we got there, shorthanded. Last year, no, different year, very much better. So again, going back to that retrieval, really puts a lot of pressure on the other team's power play immediately when you have this good plan. Make great plays from each other. So only a couple more. This is the U.S. national team in the World Championships the year before that I used with the Olympic team when we started. I just like their aggressive nature here. Obviously, they're up. Once there's a sprayed puck shot, this is just so important. You can see these guys move into the battle. He's trying to cut it off immediately. This guy's a little bit slow, but you want to know your outs. So a lot of times we know we can double bump it. If we get it one way, get it to our middle guy, and bump it again, a lot of times he's your open out. You don't always have to come to the middle with those plays. You have the opportunity to bump it either way. Suck the pressure into the puck battle, bump it either way, understanding you know where your outs are, or you're able to use that middle release. Any questions on the short retrievals? So the long retrieval is basically the same philosophy. This would be a neutral zone forecheck against Duluth in our rink. We force the dump here as we hold the line. These principles are the same. Right now on it, we got to get a guy above it, a guy below it, so you know where your outs are immediately. You're reading pressure, you're talking, you always have middle support, you have the ability to get it up to the wall. Now the wall has underneath support, ability behind the net. Now behind the net has middle support. Either way you move it on a long retrieval plan, your low forward should be supporting that first, or low forward, this forward here should be supporting the puck whatever way it goes for a pop play to the middle. Because a lot of times what happens is, one guy will go to the puck from them, they'll have guys along the wall, and it ends up being that middle pop and ends up being open. It's really hard for them to defend. Another long retrieval. Now on a wrap, you can see here, he's working above it, he's below it, he's working above it, he's here for support. We know automatically that the guys are moving to these areas. Where do you think the out is here? Because he does his job and he's always supporting that next bump, you always have the ability to bump middle and break that pressure. I love this clip actually, because this is 3 guys really working well together. Third period, obviously important power play for us. We want to keep this lead where it is. And but these guys, when guys are all on the same page, doing their jobs, he knows right where he's going. And right now, he doesn't even have to look. You're able to beat that pressure, and that low support is really important. This will be the last clip of the long retrieval plan. We're in Mankato. This time last year, this series was unbelievable, by the way. It was in October. It felt like it was playoff hockey. We forced the dump here, but the retrieval plan's the same. One above it, one on it. He's working here to get support. He has to work below this puck. A lot of times the play on rims is to bump it back to this defenseman behind the net. You get so much pressure coming down the walls, you need that release back here to this defenseman to relieve that pressure. In this case, what I like is he makes a good read here. He's able to support the puck because it's loose when we're up and out of the zone. So again, just to kind of summarize, I guess, and see if there's any questions at the end, or if you want me to go back to any clips, I'd be glad to. It's having that plan off your face-offs, off a win or loss, understanding where your pressure is going to come from. If you do lose the face-off, we call it 7 seconds of hell. Don't let them set up. Do everything you possibly can not to let them set up. Know your exit plan on a win. Put your players on the right hands to give them success, or the proper hands, if that makes sense, to give them success, to be able to have the puck on their forehand on a clear. Own that line of scrimmage mentality. Get the puck up the ice. When you do get the puck up the ice, now it's attack instinct. Let's go. We're getting up and pressuring that thing at all costs, trying to disrupt their breakout. Once they do get a puck at you and they're coming at you, trying to force that dump. Once you do force the dump, now let's have a really good retrieval plan with the ability again to exit before they even get into their setup. And if they do get into their setup, once a puck is sprayed to the wall, all out, let's go, let's pressure them again, get into our 3-point retrieval plan and get an exit. Those are our staples, the things that we really look for throughout. And again, I think there's different ways to kill a penalty in zone. But I think if you can get really good at this stuff, you're not going to have to kill in your zone very much. And you're going to create a lot of, I think, frustration for the other team. If you can create that frustration for the other team on your penalty kill, not only do you kill a penalty, but I think you start putting the momentum back in your hands a little bit, back in your favor, because they thought here's their chance. They're going to extend a lead, they're going to get a lead, they're going to score a goal on the power play. Well, they spend 2 minutes chasing the puck up and down the ice. You got power play guys banging their sticks on the ice, slamming their stick on the bench when they come back. Not only do you kill the penalty, but you got the momentum back in the game. And I think you can do that through a very aggressive penalty kill with a good plan. So that's all I've got on the presentation. Be glad to answer any questions. Anybody? Yep.
I'd imagine you intensified the 6-on-5 situation.
What's that?
Intensified the aggressiveness in the 6-on-5 situation.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to give them time on a 6-on-5. We have basically the same kill, but we keep our 5th guy right in the middle of the box. All right. So that way, if we do get extended at any point, our 5th guy is always right in the middle of the tee, where he can collapse to the net and help, where we don't get outnumbered there. Some things with the aggression on 6-on-5 is you don't want to get too many guys outside the dots unless it's a 50-50 puck and you think you can create a stall.
5-on-3. What's the biggest adjustment you make as far as being aggressive?
Well, we can't do any of this basically. So that'd be the biggest adjustment. That'd be a whole other topic, because now we're wedging in the middle, we're not chasing, we're protecting the middle of the ice, blocking shots, that type of thing. So that would be a whole other conversation.
Bret, how do you approach the drop back guys attack in the middle of the ice and then they bring it back to the trailer and it's kind of pushed all of your forwards into the defensive zone?
There's well, if you put a microphone behind our bench, you can hear our assistant coaches screaming, re-gap, re-gap, re-gap. So, and it depends, are you running a 1-3, a 2-2, a floating box, what are you running? But for us, we get up and then we have a swing with their speed, we have another swing, we kind of end up back and through the middle and then trying to force to either side of the normal. Well, once they drop it, those guys have to re-gap. If you don't re-gap, you're going to be standing at your blue line and they're going to be beat every time. So for us, it's that we're screaming at those guys to retake ice, re-gap, so you can match those drop guys' speed a little bit.
So you've got your forwards backing up at that point after they swung.
Yeah, because
you get going.
Yep. And I don't know if I had it. this is our, I'm gonna, kick me off here when you want me off here. Because this would be our, I was looking at our power play teach. Sorry that, so we got a new sound and video board for the first period. We got that on our video somehow in our home game. But this would be the drive you're talking about, I think, for the most part. Two-man drop, drive these guys. We've driven St. Thomas back now. They're in a 1-3. And it makes it really hard for them to do anything at the blue line because we've, you know, as you're running this drop, the key for us is drive dot lane, kick this puck. He's got a route to run now down the wall. This guy here is going to come over the bumper position, as you can see. So as they start to pressure, he's going to drag a guy with him. Now we're going to try to 2-on-1 this guy basically where if he comes with him, we've got the kickback play. If he trails this, we got our guy coming right to the bumper for a quick play off the bumper execution on that entry. That's a big thing for us, but you can see in a 1-3 it was really hard for them to re-gap. That's what we personally, we run a 2-2 where we try to get those guys back gapping up again. This would be another one. They're in the 1-3. Now we get the drop, and for us, we'll run. If they try to re-gap with the run, we'll run one. We'll do a drop and cross. See if I got any. This is a 4-back. Where now, well, we get it in behind their 1. So a big thing for us in our 4-back is we read that they were going into a 1-3, so our call from the bench is to have our forwards break off the routes at the top of the circles. All we're trying to do is have one pass beat their 1. If they do, now you've got a 4-on-3 rush every time. It's really hard to re-gap on that. Sorry, Wes, I'm not finding a video that would help you there. I guess the biggest thing for us is just trying to get that re-gap and be able to close in the middle, but have a little speed to re-deflect again. Well, one thing that I didn't get into here would be our plan on a, let's see if I can just get a link up here. So I guess one thing that's really important is your goalie touches. What the plan is when you force a dump that ends up to the goalie. So for us, basically, we have our D come to, if this was our goalie and he was playing this behind the net, we have a strong side out play. Now, both D will fan out and come to the dots. First forward's right down the middle, but our goalies are all this shot. I don't know what you call that, goalie's left shot, whatever. So their forehand would put a puck over to this wall. So our play is always forward down the middle, D fan out to bring their forecheckers in and send our last forward immediately over to this wall. So any goalie touch, we're trying to bait their guys in, rapid by pressure on the goalie's forehand to this guy with that middle forward now being underneath bumper support to exit if you can't get right up the wall. So having that goalie touch plan I think is really important because sometimes goalies get back there, you know goalies, and you don't tell them what to do, they have no idea what to do, right? So no offense to any goalies in the room, but you got to have a plan for the goalies too, especially if you're doing a really good job at creating dump pucks to your goalie. And having that breakout plan, especially to their forehand, I think helps a lot. For us, the biggest thing is we don't want to allow power play to get the puck to the middle of the ice because there's too much danger there. So if we can cut things, get them back down the half walls, we expect our goalies to stop the puck off a flank shot and a strong side stuff. Those are non-negotiable. They have to stop those because our net front D is always taken away backdoor. We need the goalie to be able to stop anything to the strong side of the net, and any flank shot's got to be theirs. Now, high tip plays, backdoor plays, those are on us. But obviously the flank shots, low stuff plays happen in the goalie. I also think your goalie, you have to have a good puck retrieval plan when you do create that dump puck, which is what you're hoping to do. Yep.
On retrievals, either short or long, the guys that are coming to the top and above the wall, what's the spacing that you're talking about?
You know what? There isn't a major rule for the spacing. It's actually just the speed of getting there. When our penalty kill is not very good, we got one guy going on the puck and the other guys, 2 guys kind of floating there, right? The thing for us is if you can immediately steal that thing, Now that guy can't just bump a puck either way. If they do or we do, if it's bumped either way, you still have that middle support. We really don't have a lot of, I'll go back to a couple quick. Let's say this would be a good look for us right here on this one. Where you're trying to get, and part of it is reading where their guys where their guys are. Obviously in this case, we're gonna get here and try to cut this guy off. In this case, usually it's just trying to get to this midpoint or the hash. I do know that we talk a lot about sealing the hash if we can. So we typically, if it's scripted per se, and you're not just reading it, you're looking at cutting off the hash, your immediate pressure, and obviously you're just trying to cut off this low play as quick as you can. Another one here. I like this one. You can see now again, there's not a guy back here, he's reading, he can get closer here. And he can get to this hash area, that would be a pretty typical. No, our guys would have been, actually looking at this clip, our coaches would have been mad that he didn't take a little bit better route to get to that wall. He's cheating just a little bit in here. That make sense?
Coach, what's your language for net front release? Like, high school kids are really scared to put the puck in the front of the net, but that guy's always open, like
Yep.
the fourth guy.
Yep.
How do you work on that? What do you talk through? What are you talking on the ice to?
So from which side?
So like, you got, like in this clip right here, you got one guy who's the open
Yep,
guy. So when
yep.
you get this clear, he's the obvious guy to get the puck.
Yep.
But I know high school kids, they struggle with putting the puck to the front of their own net.
You know what you tell them?
Yeah.
If you, and I do tell my guys this, if you screw this up, it's on me, because I taught you to do it. Right? Like, at the end of the day, it's on me. This is what we're teaching. If you guys screw up trying to do the right things, I'll live with those mistakes. All right? Now, on the other hand, if you just get it now and wrap it out of here to nobody, which isn't our plan at all, you know, that's on you. You know what I mean? And I think you got to give them the confidence to make those plays, because that's where the open ice is. But you're right. It's just like breakouts. D are much more likely to go up the wall or the winger than find the center in the pocket, because they're afraid to sometimes, right? I think there's the same mentality here. You got to give them freedom to make those plays. And then if they do try to make the right play and it hits a guy's shaft and goes on somebody's tape and they bury it. But I think if you teach the right habits and you support those habits and you give the kids the freedom to do those things, eventually you're going to keep getting better.
Build on that, by the way, you showed it. What if power play here releases the puck corner to corner, gets a release,
Yep.
expands the zone? Are you back in pressure mentality, or are you trying to get back to the house?
We would have no
The
problem.
zone expands pretty quick there if
Yep.
they release to that opposite corner.
So if they send one here
Yep,
and they got a guy racing to go get it,
yep.
he's going. You're going to beat him. Now, you're going, you're all reloading right back to the middle. But we don't want to just come stand four guys right here. Now, that's playing hockey too, right? Because the terminology we would use on that is if you believe you can meet it or beat it. Right? So if you can meet that guy there or beat that guy there, you're always going. You're never thinking, now if he's already down there and standing there, we're not going to send this guy flying out at him for no reason if he's looking at you with the puck in his tape.
Okay.
Now we're just going to get back in and protect the middle of the guys.
And that would apply if they want to go to high as well.
Yep.
If either above or below don't seal, the zone expands.
Now you're back into your regular zone kill.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Yep. Well, it's funny because we've had major arguments on this in our room and at the Olympics too. So some of the NHL teams, a lot of them actually, as the D is coming out to the flank towards the dot, they are taught to block the weak side of the net. So they're actually not even right on the shooter. Their job is to take away the weak side of the net, because it puts you in a little bit better position to take away those high tip plays as well that everybody's running now with the bumper guy. Any shot that is the short side of the net or halfway to the net, the short side's all on the goalie. If that goes in, it's on the goalie. If it goes on the far side of the net, it's on you as the defenseman. You didn't get out there to take away the far side of the net. We did that originally a couple years ago, And we scrapped that. We decided to be more aggressive and be on puck. We don't want to sit back. We want to go out, extend, try to get out in the shot lane. We lead with stick first, stick on puck, body through the shot lane, make that guy make a great play around us. So that's us now. Stick on puck, accelerate out, be in the shot lane, be off puck, not off body. That's sometimes the mistake kids will make, right? You know, say a left shot on that flank, it sticks to the middle, and kids are coming right out of the body. Now they're giving up that shot through. So we're really focused on just being in that shot lane, off stick, lead with stick, body in the shot lane. But we don't get into whether you want to, it's interesting, we don't like the one knee. We don't like going down to one knee. Some teams in our league do it, some teams in some other leagues do it. If you have a skilled forward group and a skilled guy in that flank, a lot of times you can bait the knee, step to the middle and have the shot lane, especially if you see it on the pre-scout. So we'll watch for that a lot with the other teams' shot blocking tendencies are when we're working on our power play during the week. But for us, we found better to just be aggressive, be in the shot lane, lead with stick, don't give them time.
How about the in front?
What's that?
The in front. What do you
Yeah.
think about that? Are you telling them if you can block it, or are you telling them strictly find your guy?
So most of the time the D in front would be blocking something from the top, right? Because we flex out to either flank. So if anything's coming from the flank, you're flexing into that to block it as your partner's rotating back to the front of the net. If they do get middle and find a seam and sift it through, in that case, we're fronting. So we're fronting, we're blocking that, we want to drop it and go. 5-on-5, it's a little different for us. We talk about if you can get the box out early, we'd rather have you get the box out and take away the stick. If the guy's already established position in front of the net, then we front.
That's a good point.
Anything else? All right, thanks guys, hope it helped.